Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope that you are doing well. If you didn't meet us yesterday, you missed out. We are joined today with visual artist Serrandon, where he's going to plan to show us the designs, the creative ad designs that he uses and makes in Photoshop. So, Serrandon, welcome back. How do you feel coming into day
Hello.
two?
I feel good. Yesterday was a blast. I was like super nervous before we went live. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. It was just it was a fun morning. So
Wow.
I'm glad to be back.
I love to hear it. It's always fun here at Adobe Live. And we're gonna get into what we talked about yesterday and what we're doing today, but y'all are in for a treat, let me tell you. I felt like I was tapping into my childhood memories with the ad that we created yesterday. But really quickly, I hope that y'all are doing well. Drop in the chat where you are calling from. I am calling from Phoenix, Arizona. Sarandon, I know you're out in LA.
Hey.
So let us know where you guys are tuning in from. And then also, if you are over on YouTube, we love YouTube. It's a great platform, but make your way over to Behance. That way you can join the conversation. That way, if you have any questions, comments, if you just want to talk about anything and whatever in the chat, you can do so. So that is b.net/Adobe Live. And then also make sure that you join us this week for the creative anchors of the Photoshop Creative Challenges, which occurs every morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. This week, our challenges are all logo themed. So you want to make sure you come and join. That way you can learn how to create and use logos in the app. And then also, if you missed Kyle T. Webster's Brush Hour this morning, don't worry. You can check out the replay on Behance or also on YouTube. And also make sure that you check out the Spring 2022 brush set. So I'm seeing that Sam is watching from Long Beach. What's up, Sam? I hope you are
You're down
well.
the street.
I hope you are well. Perfect. So y'all go ahead and drop where you're at, where you're from, and Serrandon, let's go ahead and just dive right into it. Let's talk a little bit about what we did yesterday and what you might have planned for us today.
Yes. So yesterday we created an ad inspired by the Nintendo Game Boy Advance SP, which was a handheld game console that they launched in 2003. It was a redesigned version of the Game Boy Advance, which was a really popular gaming system. And basically, the big thing about the redesign was that it had a new look, it had a backlight, it had a charger. And actually, what I'll do is just pull up this as I go, just in case people are like, what? So while that pulls up, and what we were essentially doing with that was when they relaunched this Game Boy Advance SP, they had a very diverse way of marketing it. So traditionally, the Game Boy has always just been kind of a kid's gaming system, but with kind of the change of times that was happening in the 2000s with flip phones and tech, you were seeing Nintendo really kind of consider that and try to get with the times in that sense. So the SP could fold, which made it more portable. It had a backlight for the first time, so you didn't have to sit under a lamp and play the game. And it had a rechargeable battery, so you didn't have to steal batteries from wherever. And it was just a lot more sophisticated, a lot more just editorial feeling. So what I wanted to do was create 3 different ads that really tapped into each version of how they were presenting this SP. And with yesterday, what we created was more of a kid friendly, was very zany, looking like the ones on the bottom right corner and top left corner. And what I'll do is actually pull up the project here so we can look at it. So let me minimize.
That's perfect. Becca said that the SP was their very first Game Boy.
Look at that.
Come on, that's a pretty good.
That's a great start. Yeah.
Great start.
I had the Advance, so I didn't all my friends ended up getting the SP when it came out, but for some reason, because if I wanted it, I probably would have been able to get it. I was like, I'm cool with my Advance or whatever. I had bought one actually. If you guys weren't able here yesterday, I bought one. So, whatever, because I had to shoot with it. So I do own one now, but what we created was this ad called New Stage Sing Classics. And essentially, again, it was playing off of that kind of campy, zany Game Informer magazine vibe, where we're seeing a gamer who is kind of standing on this giant SP, and he's really stepping into this new era for Nintendo. So what it represented was that, again, all the Game Boy Advance games, which was the cool thing about the SP, was that you could still play all of the games that you already paid for and collected on your Game Boy Advance, even on your Game Boy Color. So you could still play all of those games. You just had a prettier package for it. And we did a lot of little symbolisms, the gamers holding a Game Boy Advance just to kind of show that transition into this new world. All of the classic Game Boy Advance games are entering into this SP. And then very much like they did in a lot of those ads, they always had like a Game Boy Advance SP, like with some glow. We did a lot of glow yesterday.
A lot of glow.
Lots of glowing. And we added that in the corner just to really play off and make it look like an ad. And then we added some textures. So we added like some kind of scan lines to make it look like it was scanned from a magazine from that era. So it was really fun. And today, as we saw in that presentation, there were definitely some more editorial approaches in how they were doing things too. And that's what we're kind of looking more into today, more minimalistic in the way of like, you're not seeing a bunch of games popping in and out, but more so still highlighting different features that the product provided, but kind of putting it more in like a fashion, cool, sleek packaging this time.
Okay. All right, so we are clearly in for a treat. This one, I just love the attention to detail. So like the scan lines, the noise that's in the images that's in the overall image. I love the distortion because I feel like you actually feel like you're in. Yeah, there was a lot of distortion yesterday, but I feel like you're actually in the image, and it feels a little bit like kind of 3D in that sense, and it doesn't feel like there's a separation between you and this ad. So it kind of brings in the viewer, which I really, really enjoy too, because you have you there that's like entering this new world, but it's like we're entering this new world as well.
And to people who are like, wait, what? So essentially, this is kind of, also just to add in, if you did tune in yesterday, I did make a change when we went offline. Yesterday, when we ended, there were still some shadows, and we actually worked at eliminating some of them on this left side. But what I ended up doing was I created a new layer, and I actually just did a clone stamp and just snagged that entire side. So this is what it looked like when we left. I literally just duplicated that other side, flipped it, and just pasted it in just so it was a little bit cleaner. But this is what the Game Boy looked like before we did all of this. So I'm just kind of eliminating the layers so you can see kind of like what was all added. We added like motion blur, added some glow to the screen, added me there, did some shadows and everything on that end. And then this was actually the original photo of the Game Boy. I did some cleaning and adjusting with color, and we, aligned it and everything like that. But essentially, this is what it looked like after that was done. So we really like warped and brought out that bottom stage to just kind of make it feel like a bigger experience than what we were getting from that initial photo.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Awesome. So y'all, we are in for a treat today. If you missed yesterday's Adobe Live, just go ahead and head over to YouTube so that way you can catch the rebroadcasting of it. And then make sure you go ahead and follow Serrandon. All right. Go to his website, watch his short film on YouTube, follow him on Instagram, TikTok, etc. So thank you, Sam, for dropping his information in the chat. And I think we're ready to kind of dive into what we're doing today.
All right, so today we've got our first, so again, we're doing two different ads. They're a little bit quicker, not as like moving parts as that initial one did. So the first one is going to be called See the Light. So a lot of things that I noticed with the Nintendo ads is they always had some like kind of like cheeky slogan or something that played off of some of the features. So again, one of the really big deals about the SP was that it had a backlight. So I really wanted to play that. And usually people see the light when they're like dying in the movies. They're like, no, don't go to the light, don't go to the light. So I kind of wanted to kind of play off of that term with this. So this is actually the original look. We're gonna color it. I'm gonna do skin retouching. We're really about to get to know me
Oh.
today. And then we're gonna do some fixing of like backdrops and add in again like the glow wings and stuff like that. So this is the image off the camera. Essentially, I bought this head strap tripod thing, and I really wanted to like just do something quirky with it and have it like stick on the Game Boy and just do something extra. I don't know. So what we're gonna do first is really work at just getting the coloring and getting it to look more so in that era. I always shoot my images raw, so it just gives you so much more control and all of that great stuff. So yeah, right now I'm just going to just do some adjusting, play with the blues, play with the shadows.
Yep. Shooting in RAW is key. I am a heavy editor myself.
Yes.
I just feel like once you get into Photoshop, I use Lightroom too, but when you get into Photoshop, the things you can do to your image is endless. So it's definitely shooting in RAW is key. So you have all that information in that image so you can make all of those adjustments.
Yeah, the flexibility and when you shoot a JPEG, I mean, JPEG is, I mean, it's great if you have, honestly, if anything, I would say have your camera do both, because if you're shooting an event or like, something for like an event where it's like no one is like, it doesn't need to look like it came out of Vogue or anything. They just need some quick photos for like a pep rally or something, then great. It's definitely a lot easier to manage and it's a lot easier to just get in and out. But if you need to make changes and stuff like that, like definitely get it raw, because like you said, just the flexibility to be able to do that is awesome.
Yeah. Sometimes I wish I shot in JPEG, or I had the flexibility to shoot in JPEG. Everything that I shoot needs to be like edited because of just the work that I do. But when I look at the file sizes,
they're massive.
They're massive.
What camera do you shoot on?
I shoot on a Canon EOS R currently. Yes.
Those cameras are great.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I've had it for now over a year. I had a 60 before, and then a Canon Rebel before that point. So I've been a Canon girl since I started my photography journey. But the EOS R going mirrorless, nah.
It's so sleek, so quiet.
The quiet part, I can feel like I'm not like shooting and like, especially if I would shoot, I used to do weddings. So whenever I would shoot weddings, like I felt like I was carrying around this like bulky equipment that was making so much noise. Now I feel like sleek, like I can just hide in the bushes and just make my way and not interrupt what's going on.
Exactly. Oh, that's so awesome. And I love, shout out to Canon Rebel. I always feel like that's just like starter pack of a photographer learning. Like mine was a T3 at the T3i, I think.
Mine was the SL1. So it was like the small. It was like a minier version of like the T3i. It was so tiny and so small. But it's what you gotta start somewhere. You gotta
start somewhere. And again, you can create great images on it, especially if you shoot raw. So more reason why to shoot raw.
Absolutely.
No, those are great cameras. Shout out to the T3, honestly, the Rebel series.
I kind of want to do like an experiment because I still have all of my cameras, and I kind of want to.
Really?
Sometimes, I still have that. I still have that SL1 somewhere in my parents' house, and some people oftentimes think that like my equipment is what's stopping me from shooting, of a certain quality, and it's just like no, like it's not the equipment, and so I have this idea of wanting to go back and shoot a project with all three cameras just to show and see what the difference is.
That is a dope concept.
I know, because I'm like, you can really do crazy and incredible art with really any camera you have. You can do it with your eye, anything, honestly. It's just training your eye at that point.
Training your eye and having a great, putting the concept together. Like I'm always on TikTok, so I'm always seeing creators do really just cool stuff with little, like, and they'll get a disposable camera and scan it and just do some crazy things. And I'm just like, wow, like it just really I don't know, the possibilities are like endless, seriously.
Endless.
So what I'm doing, again, I'm just like fiddling with the color a little bit, just trying to get this to look very much like from that era in a sense. So I'm kind of crushing the highlights, playing with like the mid-tones, adjusting like just the color. It's so crazy. I guess because this is such a like a deeper blue, like it really does read purple. So it's just like, that's what I love about like the color mixer. Like you can really figure out what is showing us what. That little twist tie thing is like yellowish, I guess.
You can really see what colors are really deep in different elements of your photos. I'm like, oh, this is blue, but I'm like, oh, okay, there is, I guess, some purple in that blue.
Yeah, there is some, I guess there is some purple or that, you know, yeah. So it's cool. We're actually almost in a good place with color. I could spend so long on colors. So I'm just like, make a decision, Serrandon.
There's just so many ways you can go.
So many ways, and you know, it's just like it's a lot. But almost.
Xavier said, "You don't miss the old school camera slap sound." Nope, I don't miss none of it. I don't want to hear my camera.
Do you play on a film?
So okay, I have a film camera. In fact, I have two.
Oh, okay.
Asking me if I have shot anything. No.
Really?
I don't know if it's a matter of like, I don't think it's fear. I think I'm just I forget to use it. So I have a film camera that was gifted to me in college from a friend that was a photographer. And I was like, okay, I'll use this. Never did. And then I ended up going to like a local camera store and buying one for myself. I can't remember what camera it was, and telling myself I was going to shoot film. This was 2020. And then the pandemic happened and I was like, yeah, I'm not going outside. And then I've not picked up the camera since. So oops. But do you shoot film? How do you enjoy it?
I love film. I don't shoot in it in the way that I use digital. Like every time I use film, it's always some like casual, like BTS type stuff. But I really do want to like, and that's been one of my goals, especially for the summers. Like I really want to like put together a shoot that it's just film. Like I'll give it the same attention, the same, you know, really invest in it the way I do like a digital shoot, but just have it in film because why not? Like,
yeah, exactly.
The excitement of just not knowing what it looks like immediately is it's kind of like, oh, I can't wait to see how these turn. It's really an experience. And
I feel like you can't depend on certain things that you depend on digitally. So you have to truly understand like what ISO, you have to really understand light and like really kind of plan because you don't know what that image is going to look like at the end of the day. So you have to really make sure you understand what you're doing to hopefully get the best result.
Exactly. So yeah, I think I'm at a good place with coloring this, just so we could see like before and after kind of what it does. And then what we'll do again is when we get in Photoshop, I'll kind of clean out, get rid of lights and borders and do a bunch of stuff. So what I do now, I'm just gonna open this and it'll take us into Photoshop. And first thing I'm going to do is let's just get the skin out of the way now because it'll just be easier to just work on it from that point. So I use frequency and separation is what I use for skin retouching. I always just get like really close to where my skin is. And if you guys don't know what that is, basically it like separates the detail of your skin and the colors so that you can really like just kind of go in and see what we're doing or just see what's going on and like really kind of get without losing a lot of detail in the skin and it not looking too plasticky. So I think this is actually a good range. I'm not seeing like detail. I'm just seeing more so like where the skin is uneven. So do that. And when you're doing the color part, I've seen people do it different ways. Some people use like the mixing brush or they'll just do it without it being blurry. But I feel like when I turn off the texture aspect of it, that it's just easier to like even out these colors and stuff when it's blurred out because you're not focusing on the details. So
yeah, frequency separation is that, girl.
Seriously. You know, it's what you make it. Like you could put time into it. The more time you put into it, you know, the better, essentially, because you're just really just blending it and it looks just really natural. Because the thing about photos especially is like, it just, the way lighting and stuff, it brings out stuff that you don't see in real life. So like if I'm shooting someone and I send them like the unedits just so they can pick, like sometimes they're like, you're gonna get my skin, I didn't know my skin looked like that. I'm like, it does not look like this. I promise. In real life, your skin does not look like this.
Yeah,
the way lighting and the focus and stuff happens, like it just brings stuff, because whichever. So I'm just kind of, it's probably hard to tell right now. I'll go in a moment and just kind of show you what it's done so far. But I'm really just going in and blending in where I notice just like heavy like discoloration or variance in the tone, just so everything looks even. And this is also like a really good way to, I'm not a big dodge and burn person. I'll do it every now and again, but I've just, I don't know, just realized I think you can really shape things with also doing frequency separation.
Yeah.
Like depending on how you blend the skin and the way you make the colors like transcend into each other, like you can really kind of give that contoury effect or whatever that you're doing as well in dodge and burn, that you, without having to do it.
Yeah.
So let's see, this is almost there. I'm not sure how much detail it's actually showing on the stream here.
Yeah, when I started to do frequency separation, when I started to learn, at first I thought like, oh, like how much better can the skin editing really be? I was focusing on just like using the spot healing brush tool in Lightroom. And that was just like the extent of my skin editing. And it was just like, if I could just take away a pimple, cool, let's move on. But when I really opened up to my world to frequency separation, it just felt like you can get things to look a lot more cleaner and polished and not be unrealistic as well. Because I still like my skin to look like, you know, what I look in real life.
Just exactly.
Cleaner, and you want to keep all of that detail. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And with spot healing, and again, like those work great too. I always say it just depends on what you're doing. If you're shooting, again, if you're just shooting an event or something real like
you
casual,
just might need that. Yeah.
You may just need that because you're also probably editing like 100 photos or something, and doing this on 100 photos.
Oh, yes and no, absolutely not.
I was like, I don't know who would do that, but it ain't gonna be me.
Nope, it's not gonna be me.
Yeah, so doing that is probably just using the clone stamp or using the spot healing is like great as well. And I'll still use that too sometimes if I just need to touch up things like really quick, or sometimes like people, depending on the way the lighting environment and stuff is, or even how close I was to the model skin or something, like doing this type of detail on their skin, it wouldn't make a difference. So I'm like, well, let me just get rid of this pimple real quick.
Yeah.
And it's done. So just almost done here. Let's just see what this is looking like so far. So right now it's just evened out, like got rid of like those darker areas. I'm gonna come in here and just clean this up a bit, and then I think we'll be good. We'll go on the frequency part and just like even out the texture a little bit more. So again, this is just really focusing on the color of the skin. And I always just try to make everything look seamless when I'm doing the this first portion of it. I just try to make the way it looks when it's blurred, like just look like it's very like seamlessly transitioning to the next tone.
Okay. How long do you think that you have spent? What's the longest amount of time you've spent doing your skin editing?
Sometimes I'll sit here, like I can sit here for an hour.
Yeah.
And do this. I'm not gonna do it today. I'm probably not gonna even go as deep into this part of it today as I probably would if I was just chilling and doing it. But yeah, I can go, because also sometimes I'll undo it. Like sometimes I always like to use this term, like see things with new eyes type thing, where it's like, okay, I've done a lot today, but let me like let me just step away from this
Yep.
and just do something. I'm gonna go to the park, I'm gonna go to the mall,
Yeah.
I'm gonna just play video games all day and forget about what I've done, and then look back at it the next day and just be like, okay, what am I actually seeing? Because I feel like that's a better way of seeing it in the way that like a person would see it for the first time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You always have to step away and kind of get your eyes to really reset. Because after a while, it just, you don't really, everything just looks the same. Exactly. Everything looks the same. And then I've done things where like I have edited so many photos that I'm just like staring at. And then I came back like a day later, 2 days later, and I said, what did I do?
That's
over.
That'll be me on color too.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, what was I thinking? This doesn't look like anything I want to do. So let's recolor it. Let's redo it. Let's see. I think I'm good on skin for now. Or on the coloring aspect of it. Yeah. Touch up his chin. So next we're going to get the clone stamp tool. Let me just reset it because I don't know if it's reading from yesterday's project. And again, I'm just going to get rid of like blemishes or like whatever. And also, we talked about it yesterday. It really also just depends on scale. Like sometimes if this image is like really close up and like it is a super tight shot or whatever, you really do want to put more behind like really sitting and doing this. But this image, like you're not gonna really get that close to this. So you don't really need to get rid of all of this like detail and stuff like that because it's not gonna ultimately make a difference.
Yeah.
I'm just getting rid of a few things from my wretched ingrown hairs. I'm thinking about getting laser hair removal because I know I've never
thought about it. Yeah.
I'm never gonna grow a beard. I'm never gonna have a beard. Like I have not yet in my life. There's no signs of it. Like it doesn't seem like it's in the cards for me to grow a beard. So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna get laser hair removal right there because it just gives me ingrown hairs. Cause I don't want like whiskers, like that patchy situation going on. So I'm just like, well, let's just get rid of it then. It's not in the cards for me to get a beard. So
you've given up on that
yeah,
life.
like I don't never see my dad grow a beard. I've never asked him if he can, but I don't think he can either. So I'm just like, well, if you can't, then
it's just in the genes.
It's just not gonna happen. So did some skin cleaning up there and cool with that. So what we're gonna do next, actually let me get my arms. Let's get the arms a little bit.
Awesome. And while you continue that, again, if y'all are over on YouTube, make your way over to Behance, b.net/Adobe Live. That way you can join the conversation. And y'all that are here, if you have any questions about anything that Serrandon is doing currently, feel free to drop them in the chat. Any questions about yesterday or his career, drop them in the chat so that way we can share them.
Again, I'm just evening out the skin tone here. This is definitely like that process where you have like your music playing. I think we talked about that yesterday, but I'm like, this is when the playlists are on, or I'm like, let me discover a new artist. Let's just listen to an album start to finish because it is just, it's such a process to really even this out. And again, I'm not going to go too crazy on it because I don't want us to end up losing a lot of time on that. So I'm good on this for now. What I may do eventually is maybe go back in it later on and like do more of it. But I want to show the next part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of use this as like a benchmark. So I'm going to do like Command Option Shift E
Okay.
which I use often. And that's essentially just going to like burn all of the stuff that I've done and put it in a new layer.
Okay.
There's a few things I know I want to get rid of. I want to cover up, that's actually Sonic. But we've been like standing over Sonic for the last couple of days too,
We really have.
haven't been tuned in. But I want to just cover that logo and just make it be black. And then I'm gonna cover like the logo from the vest I'm wearing, and then we'll get into like all the content aware stuff of it.
Perfect. Sam said, I don't have the good beard genetics, but I won't let go of hope. Maybe I'll hit 50 and then bam, beard city.
Boom. And it's like true. I mean, it's so crazy when I guess the beard world decides to like choose you. So very true. Like,
yep.
Especially if you're not getting like ingrown hairs, then just keep shaving it off until that comes. Just keep shaving it off.
One day you're gonna wake up and you'll say, huh?
Yeah. Look at me. I look like
Beard City.
Drake or somebody. I don't know. Whoever has a beard. Whoever has a beard right now.
Whoever has one right now.
So again, what I'm doing, I'm just kind of getting rid of Sonic here, just so it just looks like it could be any game and all of that. Surprisingly, it's funny because when I was shooting this, I actually bought this game when I bought the SP, because I didn't have any black cartridge games. All the Pokemon cartridge games have color. Okay. Like they're blue or they're red or they're green. So I was like, well, I just need like a good like black cartridge game so it could be any game. And when I ended up looking at when I looked at a lot of the ads for Nintendo, they actually didn't have like a cartridge in there at all, which was weird because I was like, I figured you would want to, so people would be able to, it just doesn't look like an empty slot.
Yeah.
So what I did was I just did the clone stamp tool. I'm just bringing those, I'm trying to clone those shadows a little bit, just so it has a bit of a roll off. It's probably good. Let's see. Okay, that looks good. And then we're just gonna cover up this logo.
6 June.
Never heard of him. I like the vest, and I was like, all right, I'll get it. It's not about y'all today, so we're gonna do this content.
So bye.
Do that good old content aware fill.
Yes.
Fix that border a little bit. I'll go a little bit wider.
Yes, content aware is definitely
that
girl.
It's
everything.
Everything. And again, I'm just gonna do it on this little tag 2 here. A little closer so I don't mess up a twist tie thing of it all.
Do you use, it sounds like you're clicking, so are you using a mouse or do you ever edit with a tablet? And
I really want to get in the tablet game. I use a mouse, and I'm actually using the mouse that comes with my iMac, but I usually use this like Target mouse. I don't know. I love it because I have a MacBook Pro as well. So I'll plug that in for my MacBook. But yeah, are you a tablet person?
No, I still use my mouse. I have my my Apple mouse, and I say this every time I do an Adobe Live. I really have tried with the Wacom tablets. Those ones I struggle with because it takes a lot of practice, and I just haven't given it that much energy and time. But I have tried with those, have not been too successful. I do like to use my iPad as a tablet though.
Really?
So yeah, you can actually, because with the newer iPads, or I don't know how far back, or actually that's not even with maybe I think it's more so with your computer, because I have a MacBook Pro from like 2013 2014 that doesn't allow me to do this, but I do have a computer that is newer in maybe the recent like 4-ish years. You can connect your iPad using an application called Sidecar. which
a
essentially
sidecar.
it just makes it a second monitor to your screen.
Really?
Yes. So what you can do, what I love to do is just kind of, use it as a second monitor and then drag over, let's say I'm editing in Photoshop, and then I use my Apple Pencil, and it's pressure sensitive. So it really helps when I'm doing whatever I'm doing, like especially with skin editing and stuff like that. Like I can just sit here and like really feel like I'm painting essentially. When I'm doing my skin editing. So I really love to do that at times. So that's my version of using a tablet.
It's so crazy what I remember when the iPads came out and people were like, what am I about to do with this? Because it was just this weird middle ground between having a phone and then having a computer. But they've really it's taken time, but it's a really great well, now some people don't even use like Macs or computers, because the iPads have keyboards and stuff now. So you can honestly get away with that if you're not like doing super duper editing and things like that. But, and also what I'm doing, guys, so I'm kind of framing it with how because when I took the picture, I was just testing this pose, but actually I'm just liking it a lot. So what I'm doing is I cropped it and then I'm kind of positioning it the way I want it to be in the actual photo. And actually, now that I'm looking at it a little bit differently, I may crop it a little bit more. And I always crop it by 8:10 because of social media. Just like, it influences my decisions. I'm just like, all right, we'll crop it like this. And we're going to use Content Aware to really fill all of that in. And because my hands go out of bounds here, what I'm probably going to have to do is cut out my hand and fill in under that. So I can really get all of that blue to fill this whole space in. So let's see here.
So we have a lot of y'all talking in the chat. Somebody said, Brian said beards are not all that cracked up to be, trust me.
I just feel it's the era of the beard. So you just want to feel like you can. I don't know if I could grow one if I would, but it's just like, dang, I can't if I wanted to. Yeah. So.
Yep. And then Sam has a question. How do you both find inspiration when you're in creative rut? I'm kind of.
Want to answer it first?
Oh, I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm in a little bit of a creative rut now. I think that I experienced a bit of burnout. And so I just felt like I went through a period, or I'm currently coming out of a period where like I just didn't have the energy to shoot anything. But one thing that I've learned is that my creative work I had to allow myself to be able to expand. So maybe if I'm not shooting, maybe there's other creative work I can be doing. So I've been finding like I also love to educate. And so that has been a way for me to talk about what I love to do in photography, but I'm not physically getting up and shooting or planning concepts all the time. Because I found myself getting burnt out from that. Now I'm in a space where I'm like, I still am continuing on loving the educating, but like I want to shoot new projects. Yeah. So I think where I kind of find inspiration in that sense, or where I'm finding inspiration now, I try to pull it from real life. I try to find whether it's, maybe I'm sometimes like listening to music and there is something an artist is saying in the song. I'm like, this would be really cool. Like, or like sometimes, especially with music, when I'm listening to music, I don't know if anybody else does this, but I kind of picture myself like in the music video.
Yes, really
visualize it.
Visualize it.
And sometimes like ideas and concepts could come from that, where I'm like, ooh, like this song gives me this kind of vibe. I see myself doing this. Can I plan or shoot around it? So I find inspiration from music. I also find it from film. I'm watching a lot of different movies and film now. So that's a great place for inspiration. And just really sometimes it's just like people's stories. I love to do a lot of portraiture, just being able to capture people and capture who they are. And so just sometimes conversations I'm having with friends also provides some inspiration. But I think what had helped me was realizing that I don't have to be creative in a certain way. I don't have to just be creative when I pick up my camera. I can be creative with how I educate, how I, consult, different other aspects of the work that I do. That also gives me that creative freedom. So I think that's kind of how I go about that currently.
That's great. No, I go about it very similar. Like, I always try to maybe understand what may have me burnt out from it. So it could come from it could come from different things. It could be, personal life. It could be, are you bored of what you're creating?
Yes.
And just kind of find the root of it, because it also will kind of help you get yourself out of it. But just like what you said, like sometimes I have to just unplug from being a creative. Like that was me. I actually did it in January because I had just did so much at the end of the year where I was like, I don't want to be a creative in January. I just want to live. Like if I do nothing, if I just play video games all day, I'll just play video games all day. And that's it, because we have to realize a lot of the inspiration we get and a lot of the reason why we create what we create is from, our childhood or from our life experiences. And in those points in life, you weren't living or thinking or existing as a creative. So sometimes you got to turn that off and just kind of be just exist a little bit and live your life. And then you'll find inspiration. Like you said, you could literally be at a mall and you just hear a song that you weren't even trying to listen to. It was just playing, and it just awakens this new idea that you have. So just trying to turn it off. And I feel like the more you try to fix it, the harder it gets to get yourself out of it. If you have that writer's block kind of creative rut vibe, then just don't fight it.
Don't fight it. I feel like as creatives, you really have to give ourselves grace and allow ourselves to take breaks, because if not, at some point, that's where that burnout comes in. If you're just trying to constantly produce, looking for inspiration, looking for ways that you can produce any kind of art, you have to kind of give yourself that time to really take a break and really enjoy life. I got to a point towards the end of last year going into this year where I just didn't want to shoot on weekends, because I, especially working a full-time job for me, I don't want to, my weekends were going to photography and projects and time after work. And I personally felt like I didn't have me time. I didn't have time where I could just hang out with my friends and go on trips and do certain things like that. And I have had a lot of time over the past few months just to do that, to where I feel kind of rejuvenated. And now I'm inspired by the experiences that I just had. Wow, the fact that you just did that is phenomenal.
I'm chopping arm. We're almost there.
You chopped the arm and brought it back. I'm sorry.
If you guys are what is going on? So essentially I did a quick selection, and I quick selected my arm that I felt like was out of bounds. I put it on a separate layer. And what that did was it made it a blank layer on the master layer of it all. And I did the content aware, so that way the Photoshop algorithm won't actually recognize that there should have been a hand there. And it'll try to fill it with blue instead. So it always leaves this weird incision, but we'll fill that in with a clone stamp. So it's not hard. I'm just trying to kind of fix just a little bit.
It was more. The arm wasn't there, and then you cut it out and then it popped right back.
But back, you were saying going and traveling on trips and just doing that, existing with getting yourself out of that block, especially when you're working and things like that. So
absolutely. Now I'm in a space where I'm okay, I really am excited to create, because I've experienced so much, and I wasn't just kind of in my room trying to brainstorm ideas for my next project. And you feel more rejuvenated, and you feel I feel more at peace right now. So I'm okay, what can I create next?
Absolutely. And, social media doesn't make it easier either. It's hard to be a creative nowadays with social media, and you see people. I mean, it's hard to. It's just, it adds a lot of pressure. So be, like you said, you have to give yourself grace, and
you do.
I'm working on it every day, literally always give him, I'm always like, everyone's always their toughest critic
Yeah.
and everything there. So you have to be patient with yourself and really
Yeah.
just understand that, like, yeah, the social media thing, it's not easy. And
It's not trying to stay relevant, because
and
I think a lot of us get a lot of work and projects from social media. That's not how we're
mhm.
usually recognized, but social media nowadays is so exhausting trying to stay relevant. And, now you have to do reels and you have to do all these different types of
Mhm.
content for your stuff to be seen. And it just, I don't know, when you get so caught up in that, it takes away the joy a bit of being a creative.
Absolutely. Yeah, just, be patient with yourself. And
Yes.
everyone's going through it. Everyone's feeling that about like the social media. So don't feel bad if you need to
Hmm.
take a break. You're an
Yes.
artist first. So the reason why you're getting this work, or you're getting people, the reason why people are there is because they like what you do. And
Hmm.
they'll be there if you need to take a break and
Yep.
be re-inspired, because again, they want to see you create. They want to see what you're producing. And though it's a process, it's like everything is a process.
Yep.
Every you'll wait however many years for the next Marvel movie or season of whatever show, because it's going to be good when it comes.
Exactly.
So what I'm doing here, I'm going to basically, what I'm trying to do is, there's some pieces missing from just when I brought it back. I think there we go.
Okay.
So I was trying to match it. Let me see if I can just duplicate this, put it under, and then actually I'll do this and mask it back a little bit, maybe.
Hmm. Let's see what information you're missing.
Yeah, because my hand's just a little choppy.
Well, that was a good question, Sam. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was right. That was a whole like
That was
think
a
piece. He's
whole
like,
a whole think piece right there. You could cut that out and put that's a whole
seriously.
podcast right there.
Yeah, just go back to your roots
Yeah.
and like you said, watch some films, listen to some music, and
Really unplug.
unplug, hang out with some friends. Don't think about it at all. It'll be
Hmm.
here when you come
Yep,
back. Social media
exactly.
ain't going nowhere. So
Even what you said about the shows is such a good point, because when a season of one of your favorite shows ends, you wait till the next season. You're going to wait a while, because there's so many things that go into that production. There's the writing, there's the, plan, the creative planning, there's the shooting. You
absolutely
wait
right.
because you're waiting for quality. I feel as creatives, we oftentimes rush ourselves. Like, you have to produce, you have to produce, you have to produce. But you have a level of quality that you can provide. Take your
Mm-hmm.
time. Like, it is okay. When you're ready to share, the world will still be there. Social media will still be there for you.
Still be there. And I think with just the way the digital age has gone, like, it's a very unnatural way of producing content.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is like micro fast because of
Yes.
just the way information goes. And we don't think that way as humans. Like, that's not how our brain works in
Mm-hmm.
regards to trying to be creative or trying to put new content together. Our brain doesn't work as fast
Yep.
as Instagram and TikTok and, these platforms want us to work. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's, you're human, so it's just like, you got to remember that and know that, don't let these, don't let these platforms rush you
Yep.
and make you do that. So what I'm doing, kind of
Yes.
like what we talked about yesterday, was that I really like that kind of warpy effect. So I'm trying to see if I can warp myself just a little bit, just to give
Mm-hmm.
it a little, I don't know, effect or something.
Yeah.
So just playing with this just a little bit, make it feel a little bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
And then going to,
I think that's something I'm taking away from you. I always try to take one thing away from artists. I'm like, what can I try to play around with more? And this distortion is like, it's just that, I don't know, like the dynamic aspect that you're adding to the photos. Like, it's not flat anymore. It's like, oh, like I feel like
yeah, it
I'm
just
really
feels,
engaged with the image now.
it's a cool thing. And I mean, I've always just really enjoyed using it. And it's so funny because I only recently discovered it
Mm-hmm.
truly. So it's, I don't know, it's just it's fun. It adds something. You don't have to do it for everything, but
No, of course.
you know, as the picture calls for it. But I just really wanted it to kind of look something, I don't know, different because of this, the way the Game Boy is. So pretty much good with my placement and everything there. What I'm gonna do next is, again, the title or whatever it's called, slogan for this one is going to be See the Light. So we're going to do kind of what we did yesterday, which is add in a light. So it's coming from the Game Boy and really, I'm going to get rid of that too, and emitting to my face a little bit just to really kind of boost in that lighting aspect.
Okay.
So I'm going to make it stop maybe about right here. We can always tweak that.
Ooh, Carol made a no smart objects. Do you need any smart
objects? We talked about this yesterday. Thanks for calling me out.
Carol said,
Thanks for calling me out. I'm not a big, so we talked about this yesterday about what smart objects and titling our layers. And I was like, I don't do this in real life, but I usually, I play in, what did Simba say? I laugh at danger. So good idea. Let's create a smart object. So I just made a new layer of this again, just to kind of like seal in what I've done. And we will go in.
And for those that don't know, can you explain what smart objects would do?
So converting it into a smart, and I literally didn't do it again. Let me do that.
Yeah, Carol said all that distortion.
It ain't no going back.
Ain't no going back. No smart object.
So essentially, there's destructive changes you can do to an image or a video, and then there's non-destructive. What destructive means is that once it's done, it's done. There's no going back. So all of the changes I've been doing, all of the warping and things like that, those are destructive changes. And I wouldn't be able to bring those back because it's burnt into the information of the image. So essentially, when you convert something into a smart object, every change you make, it actually does not make it a destructive change. So it, you'll see once I like add a blur or something to this, it's going to create like this little like sub layer that you can always revisit and be able to alter or tweak. So say something turns out to just be a little bit too blurry, or you don't like the saturation on it too much, essentially you can go back and change it without it actually affecting the image itself. So it's something I really do need to keep getting better at, just reminding myself, because when you're in the moment and it's just like, I just want to there's just so many things that you want to do or get done with it. You can forget, like, especially with naming the layers.
You definitely can forget. And it's also good to make sure that your image doesn't start to get pixelated while you're doing all of that editing as well.
Because it's a lot of different things you're doing and a lot of effects. So I did create that on this one. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to create kind of a shape of the light. Okay. And actually, I'm just thinking of it physically. If it's coming from both sides of the screen, it's coming about right there. We would need it to cover a little bit more of maybe about right here is what I'm thinking.
Come on with the physics.
I'm trying to make it make sense in my head. So I'm just like, let's trace around this piece here.
Yeah, it's definitely paying attention to that detail and making sure that, you know, it does make, what you're doing does make sense.
Yeah, because I was like, well, the screen, there's a whole other dimension of the screen. So let's see what that looks like. So similar to like what we did yesterday, I'm going to make a quick selection because it's light and light is soft. I'm going to try and see. Actually, we'll add that feather second because I can always adjust it if I do it that way. So This is the color we were playing with yesterday. I kind of want this one to be a bit more of like a white blue. So I'm going to keep that blue there and maybe go just bring this all the way up to white and see lighting wise what that's going to do. And I'm going to make a selection. I'll do that 0. And I'm essentially just going to add this gradient here. So it's not going to let me because gradients will smart object. Oh, well, it's because it's a smart object. Look at that. So let me try this again. Let's see if it'll, then I use Serrandon to put smarter, it's not directly editable. So what we'll do just for this one, or you know what, actually, I'm just gonna create a layer here and
then do the gradient.
Yeah, we'll just do it over with this layer because I can play with it. And let's see here. We're going to go to edit and see what feathering this looks like. It's gonna kind of soften that a little bit. Not too crazy about the way that is. What I'm gonna do actually is go back to, I'm just gonna Command Z that a little bit, and I'm going to bring, I'm gonna add a few more of these so it's actually playing off of this a little bit.
Okay.
I'll bring this one down a little bit more. And they're gonna bring this down. Okay. And we'll make this selection. And then we're gonna create that layer again and see here. Cool. And what I'm gonna do, just like yesterday, I'm actually gonna add a blur. We'll do a motion blur again. And
yeah,
it's a little too powerful. It's a little too powerful. I like the vibe that's giving. And what I'll do is, actually, before I do that, this is smart layer. And then we'll add it because then I can play back with it. So let's play with this direction. So I'm trying to have it kind of point more toward the same way that this would have done it. And that'll kind of really help create that kind of like roll-off-y vibe. Like that. And then I'm gonna go to my blend options here and see. I liked what Soft Light was doing yesterday. Seeing what these different options do.
Yeah, this is really nice.
And what I'm gonna do is create a mask over this and kind of like taper off some of these like edges.
Carol asked, do you save your paths?
I don't save my paths. I do, well, I've done it in the past for certain things, but I kind of take, it is a good thing to do, but honestly, like each image, like I guess with the way I edit, like I wouldn't do this image a second time, like if there was like a similar shot or something like that. So I personally don't save them all the time, but I have in the past if I'm doing like maybe a client work where there is like a similar image or something, or again, I want to go back to it, but no, not really. I mean, again, it's nothing wrong with it. I think it's dope, but I just don't really do it.
Same. I don't really do it either. I feel like it's very, I don't know, sometimes when I'm doing so much work on an image, I feel like it's very specific to that image. And if I get something else, another photo, I'm not doing the same thing. So I'm just like, that's why I don't do well with, I do use like, I don't save paths. I also don't really use presets. Some people are always like, oh, do you have presets? Do you have presets? I might for like, you know, if I'm doing grad shoots or something like random like that, but most of my work is just an image is very unique.
Yeah, it was like, I can't really do this again.
Yeah, so it's just like next image is a completely different vibe, a different concept, idea, method, etc.
Same thing. I will do, because when I do my coloring in Camera Raw, I'll usually save the settings if there's like a spread of them, like something like this shoot, I'll save that because I know that I've got 6 more of these images that I'm going to have to do the same thing with. So I'll do that as a base, but even then, like I'm still probably going to end up tweaking kind of like maybe some of the saturation or some of the curves because it's a different like pose or something. So yeah, very, that's a great question, but no, I don't really do it too much. So I'm just, again, trying to add a little bit more dimension to it. I like that. And what I'm going to do is I'll adjust the position of it, and then we're
Okay.
just going to blend it together and add a mask.
Okay.
So see, move this up a little bit. I'll make it look like it's coming direction there. And then I'm going to add a mask here and get rid of like this extra piece that's like overflowing from the Game Boy. And then it's probably gonna let me do it. Let's see if it'll let me distort it. Oh, it does. Okay. No? I didn't think it was gonna do that.
Ooh.
So let's try that again. Let's see what a warp. Okay, gotcha. Let's go to warp. No, okay, it's not gonna let me do it. Let me, what I'll do is this. I'll just create one more layer and just do like a quick clone stamp, and we'll turn the opacity down just to kind of fill this
that
piece
gap
here.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit more masking I'm gonna do right here. There we go. Here and this.
Yeah, bring those two components together. How long did it take you to come up with the idea of what you wanted to do with these Game Boys? So I know what we did yesterday, but even the idea of like you getting this headset, having it float, the light, like how long did that take you?
It took me a couple weeks. Like I was, I just knew I wanted to really like play off of what the Game Boys did, but also, wow, that looks really patchy. I really wanted to play off of what the Game Boys did, but also didn't, I wanted it to be a little quirky as well, if that makes sense. What I'm actually gonna do real quick with this one, guys.
Carol mentioned that you were on the mask, so I don't know if that was why you couldn't distort.
Oh, was I? Thank you, Carol. Yeah. You're looking out.
Carol's out here focused.
Let's try that again.
Yeah, so that maybe that's probably.
Look at that. Shout out to Carol, man.
Come on.
So yeah, it'll usually take me, it depends. Like I was doing a lot of like research about like some of the concepts and just like ways they were going about like promoting it back in the day. So I would say it took me a couple of weeks. I like was looking for a way to, I knew I wanted it strapped on me in some capacity. So I was just looking at ways that I could do that. And it's so funny. I used to take the bus to a job I worked at, and this guy came on the bus one day, and he had probably like this. I wouldn't be surprised if it was this brand of a head strap. He had it, and it was he was watching just TV on his phone. Like he was just watching like Netflix on his phone. I was like, that is dope. Like it was just always just in my brain. I never knew what I was gonna do with that information, but I was like, I love that. And it just came back to me when I was like trying to think of like ideas for this. I was like, let's try that. Let's see what that could do for this. And
see how real life can just inspire your next project?
And you're not, by literally doing nothing, you're just existing. And next thing you know it, you're like, okay.
Yep.
So what I'm doing is seeing, I'm just gonna try to blend that a little bit more. And I think we'll be good. Get my eraser, turn down the opacity a little bit. Just pat that down. And then put this on. I had it on lighter colors. Let's see. There. So need a little bit more on the bottom here.
So Valerie said, sometimes burnout comes to me where I'm working on in a non-creative job. Then I come home and I'm too tired to work on creative things. Valerie, you are speaking to the choir, because that's how I feel.
No, seriously. it'll, yeah, it's really hard. It's hard to
It's
like
hard.
do the day job, and then
Yep.
your real job really starts when you get home at that point.
Yes.
And it again, that's when you just have to. And for me, like, especially I had a job where it was just very demanding in regards to like hours and the times that I had to be there. Sometimes, like, honestly, I just bring my laptop to work and try to just do it, and just try to like fight through it because I just need it. Maybe I had deadlines, but again, sometimes it's just like, all right, I'm just going to take a break. I'm going to think about this. And then you really have to see it differently. I've always like challenged myself with thinking that even when you are as successful as you want to be in your field, and it doesn't matter what field this could be, like, you're going to have to do things that you don't want to do. Like, everybody, like, I'm sure, anyone, like, hell, Beyonce, I'm sure she has to do things that she does not, maybe she doesn't have to at this point, but there's just obligations. And I always see like the 9-to-5 job as that. Like, I'm just like, even when I'm graduated from having to work here and I am full-time creating, like, there will be something else that I'm going to have to do that I don't want to do. And I try to take it in that way where I'm like, okay, so then if this is just that, if this is kind of preparing me for that almost, then how can I make this work? Like, what if there is like, if my goal was to post content this month and I haven't shot the content, or it's been shot, it needs to be edited, then it's like, well, let's just pick a day. Like, let's give it a day. Let's give it our Saturday. We're off on Saturdays. I really want to go to the park with my friends, but if I just give it this Saturday, then I can go to the park with my friends next Saturday.
Week.
And this will be done and I'll feel so much better about it. So
I think that's the thing, as creatives that work full-time jobs, there are a bit of adjustments and sacrifices you do have to make. And I think that's life. Sometimes you have to prioritize certain things and what's important for you, and know that, like, okay, you get this thing done now, doesn't mean you can't do the fun things in life that you want to do. It just means you might have to prioritize them differently. I know for me, especially going from working in an office and working remotely has been great for me. However, I feel like I don't have that me time. So a lot of that time, my me time was just driving home from work. I got at least like for 30 minutes to an hour of just driving home from work. Sometimes I would stop, get food, and do whatever I want to do and come home. Whereas I find myself now, I'll close my work laptop and then turn over. It's all the same desk, like, and I'll turn over and, log in to start doing my creative work. And so I have to tell myself, okay, I schedule it, like, like the same way I have meetings for work and I have meetings for things, I have to schedule my creative time. And so if it's on a weekend, it's on a weekend. If I'm going to say I'm only going to do this 3 days out of the week, then I'm going to do it 3 days out of the week. You just kind of have to treat it like it's a job itself and kind of have your own schedule around it. So that way you can hopefully balance the two.
Exactly. No, so yeah, sometimes it's I feel like that's just the battle. I feel like it's just, it's the battle that happens when you're a creative. It's just like, you have to, we just have to find out how to make it work with work.
Yep. And even Christina just said, as a full-time creative, you just have to set a schedule for yourself, like a job would. Seems backwards, but it helps with the burnout too. Like, tell yourself no editing after 9 or 10 p.m. That's wind down time. Exactly. Like, you have to literally say, all right, the way that, like, you work your 9 to 5, you're working from this hour to this hour. Now tell yourself your creative job is going to be from this hour to this hour. This is your rest time. This is your lunch time, your dinner time. And I only work 3 days a week as a creator. I don't know, but you kind of create a schedule around it so you can manage the two worlds.
You really do. Transparency, guys, I was not feeling that. So I'm spending way too much time. I could just like do.
I didn't even realize it's gone.
I was like, I just muted it for a second because I was just like, I'm not feeling the way that's going. So I'm like, let's just do this all in one swoop, which is what I should have done in the first place. I thought that was connected that way. So let's do it this way. And we'll just add that gradient that way. So it just
I
connects
see what you're
differently.
doing now. So it's all one swoop, but you're not having two separate.
To blend them, because I was like, this is not working out the way I thought it was gonna work.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Great. And then what I'm gonna do is we're going to first mask it, or actually I'll add the blur to it.
Okay. Convert to smart object.
And add that motion blur back to it, and then I'll mask over this.
Yeah, that looks a lot better.
Yeah, and just seamless. So, and then we'll get our brush here and go at it. There we go. And I'll go a little smaller as I get closer to the detail. Right here. Do 100 right here. There we go.
Yeah, it looks a lot more seamless.
So are there any, I mean, I guess I asked a question yesterday, but if there are new people here today, if you guys had a Game Boy Advance or Game Boy SP, like what games were you playing? Like what are your, or if not, like what is just like your OG favorite childhood game that you played?
That's a good question.
What had you in the chokehold?
I know for sure Sonic was a big one. Mario Kart that had me literally like, suffocating over.
That's such a good party game, man.
Yes.
We talked a lot about Uno and stuff yesterday, and how like that brings out the worst in people. And I feel like Mario Kart kind of does too.
The same
like
thing.
You get that blue shell and your bestie is in first place, and you're just like I'm gonna put me first, Lucius. And
you throw that shell, you throw them off course.
Sorry, friend, I gotta get you out. Like
I gotta put me first. Like
first, I'm out here struggling in like 8th place, and people are hitting me with these red shells. That game is, that's one of those that it's like.
That was a big one for me. And I also played this. I did Sims, and then I also had like this Harry Potter game that I would play as well. And that had me in a bit of a chokehold. I can't remember like what the game was even doing. I just know I had a Harry Potter game that really had me there.
Come through Harry Potter.
Yes.
I just watched them for like the first time when HBO Max brought them in.
I'd only watched like the first two. I have a lot of catching up to do, but yeah.
I was like, I don't know why it took me so long. I mean, because, ABC Family would do that every Christmas. It'd be like, every day we're going to play Harry Potter. Like, y'all going to get tired of us. And I was finally like, let me just get into this, man. Like, I love the fandom of Harry Potter. When I went to Japan, I got to go to the Universal Studios. So I did the whole Harry Potter ride, which was interesting because it was all in Japanese at the same time. Like, all of the voice actors were like speaking in Japanese, but I was like, but y'all sound like, you sound like Daniel Radcliffe, but you're just speaking. It was really cool. A really cool way to. I was like, let me watch the films, and they're great. Like, it's cool that the movies got darker as they got older. Like the beginning, like it feels like a kid's movie, but when they turn into teenagers, I'm like, okay, this is like a bit more dark.
Yeah.
Good films. So I like that light much better. What I'm gonna do here is, we're actually almost done with this image. I'm going to do that glow effect that we did last time. So I'm gonna add an outer glow around our Game Boy.
Perfect. And while you start that, just so y'all know, our artist spotlight countdown has started. So in about 15 minutes, we are going to be highlighting one incredible individual. As always, if you want to recommend somebody for an artist spotlight, just go ahead. Right above the chat, you'll see a little button there that says artist spotlight. So then you can recommend our next artist for our spotlight. So go ahead and do that. I see some people played Sonic, Smash Bros, Super Mario 64. Asteroids on Atari 2600, Pokemon Greenleaf, and Kirby.
Ooh,
we talked
Greenleaf.
a lot about Kirby.
Yep. That came out on the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
That was wow.
Yeah, they said
the taste.
Yeah, Ross said they played Pokemon Greenleaf and Kirby on Game Boy Advance.
Yo, Super Smash Bros. I have it on the Switch, and I when I was working on my short film, there's this thing I learned about on a podcast I was listening to called indulging, and basically when you don't want to do something, you indulge. And Super Smash Bros was like my scapegoat. Like if I didn't want to do something, I'm like, I'm gonna go online and play.
Deep in that.
Yo, that game, it's just such a good fighting game. Like, and just the way they did it for the Nintendo Switch, because this was like, I think the first one where you had like, you could purchase like downloadable characters. So they would add characters beyond like, because in the game you'll earn like, there may be 50 characters that you actually earn in the game. But then like Nintendo would, they did like 2 packages of like, we're going to add in more characters, and the characters they would add in were from like totally different games. Like they had like different properties completely. Like I'm not sure if you're familiar with like Final Fantasy or something, but they would have like Final Fantasy characters that you could play with, and all of these characters that you're just like the little nerd in you are just like, oh my god, like we used to argue and when we were kids about who would win in a fight, like this person or this, and now you can actually do it.
Yep.
And they took all my coins. I think each character was like, I don't know, like $3-4 or no, them characters are like $5. I don't know. They made a smooth like. They probably made close to $50 off of me. They basically bought a whole other game because of all the characters, but I finally got myself out of playing that game daily. I don't think I played it in a month at this point, which is good, but I was down bad, man.
Wow.
I was down bad.
Small wins. You said a month.
Yeah, that game got me down bad. I'm sorry. That shout out to whoever said
Greenleaf.
Yeah, Greenleaf and Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Like, triggered a very fun time in my life. So what I did was I added that good old outer glow that Nintendo loved to do, and I'm gonna blend with it a little bit more so it has more of a roll off. Let's turn that opacity down, and let's give it more of like a blue light. See, but I want it to work in well with the light that's coming from the. So let's turn that saturation down a little bit.
Yeah.
Just trying to the opacity. Honestly, the white may work better. Yeah, I think the white maybe make it a little bit gray because that'll take away some of that. Yeah, that blends in really well.
That blends really nicely.
Great, and let's get rid of this little stream thingy that's coming up from here. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was like, I only remember it when I get this close to it. I'm just like, all right, let's just get rid of him. And a little bit just so it doesn't show. And see here. Let me just name a couple of these really quick.
Yes, name your layers, your layers.
Get rid of y'all. I didn't end up needing y'all anymore. How that fix.
Valerie made a comment saying, after being laid off of my logistics job of 16 years in spring of 2019, returned to school to learn creative software and learned I was naive about many things in the creative industry. I assumed all creatives worked full time. Yep.
No, you even the ones like, I mean, it's a hustle. And I mean, shout out to everyone. I mean, it takes a long, it's a blessing to be able to
It's a
get to a position to
blessing.
full time.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. Like I'm still always
I'm not
having to
there
take
yet
on
either.
jobs and stuff. And a lot of, like a lot of creatives still are like working 9 to 5s and still it's a process. And yeah, you know, that's why that's why I
journey for
just have
sure.
such a respect for creators and stuff who are balancing them both, because it feels like, and just content creators in general, like beyond
Yeah.
just like artists, like even like the TikTokers and stuff. I'm like, it takes a lot of time. Like
It takes a
after a
lot of
long day,
time.
you have to
Yeah.
then like plug in and do it, plug in and then
Yeah.
jump back into that again. So
Yep.
it's
It's a lot of discipline.
discipline.
And I don't know, I feel like, at least for me, I feel like when you love something so much, you can put the time towards it. So and towards my work isn't I was gonna say it's not, it is difficult because sometimes like I wish I could just enjoy like other people just enjoy. Like after work, just be like, oh, I'm just gonna go and do, and I can if I plan for it, but I always have to plan for it. I'm not the
Mm,
spontaneous person that you could just call and say, oh, let's go do this, because I'm like, ooh, that don't work with my schedule.
yeah.
You have to
Time
be intentional with your time.
That time management is crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, and what I did, guys, I think when I was naming my layers, which is what I should have done in the jump, I got rid of the Game Boys. So I'm
Oh
just adding
no.
that outer glow real quick. But after that, we're just going to add the font and then add our Game Boy Advance logo. And
Yay.
what I'll do, since we have that initial project for that one, I'm just going to take it from that one because it's the same logo. And we'll just put it and find a cool placement for it on this one too.
Yeah, it's a lot of balance. I have a lot of respect for anyone that's able to make it their full-time gig as a creative, because that's not easy work. But then also anyone that's able to manage a 9 to 5. We're all trying to survive in this life.
Absolutely. And it doesn't
No?
get, and being a full-time creative as well, like it doesn't make it easier. Like I think sometimes people
No.
think like,
Yeah.
oh, I just want to get to a place where I'm a full-time creative.
It
And I'm
does
like,
not
that's
make
when
it
the
easy.
real work begins,
Yep.
because then you're not clocking in, or you're not just being managed by someone else's schedule. Like
Exactly.
you said it right earlier, like having discipline and being able to, like, if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you
Yep,
type thing.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
you really have to be able to give yourself a schedule. And then
Yeah.
you realize like that's why there's a lot you could take away from like 9 to 5 jobs, honestly, because again, it's kind of like that time management aspect of it, understanding
Yes.
that this is just that part of your schedule that you're like, oh, I don't really want to do this, but we got to get it
There's
done.
always gonna be that thing.
There's
There's
always going
always
to be
gonna
that
be the
thing.
thing. Yep.
But also, like, you can take away the fact that I'm like, well, the reason why this job works, or the reason why it's an operation, is because that there is a plan. Like, there's a system in place here where I'm playing this role. I have a supervisor or a header, a higher up who's managing this. There's a
Yeah.
schedule and lunch,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it's an operating business because it has all of these things happening. And when you are a freelancer, when you're working as a creative full time, like you have to put in that effort, or put in that
Yeah.
due diligence to put that together.
Yeah, it's creating structure for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
like just like Christina mentioned before, like you have to really treat it and schedule it like a job, because and that's where like you said before, like those that do it full time, it doesn't make it easier. Like I think we have this perception of like, oh wow, like you get to just make videos and take photos all the time. Like no, it's still like a job. It's a career
It's a
still.
job.
You
Yeah.
have to sketch, you have to plan, you have to be able to balance. There's burnout that can still occur. There's the fun part, obviously, of like creating, but when you become a full-time creative, you really, and even as a part-time, you realize that's not the whole job. There's
Mm-hmm.
so many different aspects and roles that you need to play. And if you don't have a team, maybe you're doing those things by yourself before you can help people and ask for that help. there is a lot of components there.
Absolutely. It's a lot. So I mean, shout out to everyone, and
shout out
doing
to
it
everybody
full time
working,
or
hustling.
yeah, if you're working like and I feel like again that's some more of that pressure that comes from social media, that you feel like, well, I'm working this job, like I'm not good enough, or like I feel like you feel like less than, but it's like, no, you're absolutely not. Like we're just all in a different stage of the process. And yeah, it's, don't be embarrassed, don't feel like you're not talented enough or something because you have you're working your 9 to 5 job. Like you're not, like you're absolutely just as talented and everything, like that your time will come. But again, while you're in this moment, like still there are a lot of things that you can take in and understand and learn how it is to be a business and see it in that way. So I added the font. I'm using the same font as yesterday, which was the OCR. Was it OC? I forgot.
Yes,
what
it was OCR.
OCRA. And I explained it yesterday. So the reason why I really like this font is because there was a movie that came out, I think in the 90s, called Hackers. And it was like Angelina Jolie's, like one of her first films. And it was just this really cool film about like these teenagers who are just like really skilled in hacking. And yeah, they just go and mess up some stuff. And it's just like this cool adventure, but it's ultra stylized film. Like it was very ahead of its time in regards to like some of the effects and stuff that they were doing in it. But this was like the font that they were using back then. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it.
Yes.
So let's see here. So a couple more things.
A few more minutes until we do our artist spotlight.
Oh, cool. So we're in a good place.
We're getting close. And Christina made a comment. I always remember that literally everyone is just trying to figure it all out. Literally.
Everyone. Our parents too. Like
our parents,
that's
everyone.
Something else that you realize, like as you get older, you're like, wow, y'all
you were just trying
really to know what y'all were doing either.
It's so crazy because like when you look at your parents, you think, I feel like, and also not everyone has this family dynamic, but I think for me, I looked at my parents in the sense of like, wow, they got everything figured out. Like they know what my parents say is gold. Like, you know, and then you get older, you're like, no, they were just trying to
y'all were
figure it out
freestyling this, weren't you?
Freestyling like the rest of us are, you know. So you really realize that all of us, you know, every person is just freestyling, trying to figure it out. Very rarely does anyone. I mean, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, so you just playing whatever cards you get, you know, dealt.
Absolutely. So, you know, we're all out here just trying to. We're all in the matrix right now.
Yes,
so
that's it. That part.
We are all just out here in the matrix. Like another just film that's just like always just been heavy inspo to me. I just love. Not crazy. I wasn't crazy about the latest one that came out, but
I wasn't either.
I was like, if y'all were gonna do this, we could have just not done it. But but the first three, especially the first one, I loved it. It was just such an innovative project. Let's get rid of this stain that's happening up here. And a great cast. I don't know who's that connected to. Oh, that's connected to my GBA. Let's call you XP. Just looking for, just so I don't have to create another layer.
Yeah.
I want to cover that up. So again, a lot of them just had this like Game Boy. And what I'm going to do, I didn't do it to the one yesterday, but I'll probably go back and add it, is I'm just going to add a little noise to it just so it doesn't look so sharp.
Okay.
And it's such a small image, it probably doesn't take much. See, that's good. 4.8. And we'll do it to the logo too.
Give it that old kind of feel, that nostalgic kind of feel as well.
Yeah, and it blends in. And I'll add the I'm gonna add the overlay to it as well, just so we get those scan lines and get that vibe again.
Okay.
So let's open that. And just shout out to Adobe. Like I was able to get this on Adobe stock. So it's like a really cool option. And what I liked so much about this one was that it had
3 different options for you.
3 different options. So we can literally just slap it over and then just kind of slide them around and figure out which one we like. So.
And while you finish up that, we're gonna, in a few seconds.
Ooh,
in a little
sorry,
bit,
I felt that come. I was like, don't
you felt the
sneeze
sneeze,
don't sneeze on live. It happened.
I didn't hear it though. So
you didn't? It didn't come through?
No, it didn't come through. I didn't hear it. I don't know about y'all in the chat, but I didn't hear it.
They're like, we heard it. We heard that.
Awesome. So I think that while you finish up that portion, I think we're going to be moving into our artist spotlight, y'all. As always, if you would like to recommend somebody for our next artist spotlight, just go ahead right above the chat. You'll see a little button there where you can submit any artist that you know, submit yourself for our next artist spotlight. So once we kind of surrender, when you kind of get to a solid point, we can go into that person too. I
am ready. Yes, I am ready. Yes.
All right, perfect. So let's pull up who is our artist spotlight for the day. Serrandon, can you show us who that person is?
Yes. So our artist spotlight for today is going to be an artist by the name of Adelita on Instagram. Her name is Tashana Duenas. She is a super talented photographer, graphic designer, and stylist. Her work is just stunning. I know her personally. She's actually based in New York now, but connecting with Tashana TJ is just like, sometimes you just encounter creatives that just really like spark something in you. And something that I just really admire about Tashana is just the fact that she is not afraid to experiment with different things. She is not like so committed or stuck on one style. She's like, I'm just going to try it because I want to do it. So she's always trying different lighting styles, different hair effects, different style looks. And it just creates such a diverse catalog of things, of work that still looks like her. And she's recently moved more into doing graphic design work, which I absolutely love. I believe it's on here, and if it's not, we can go to her Instagram page, but she's creating just super duper, graphic design right there. Let's see if it's pulled up. So really cool 3D effects. And I'm just like, she's just such a wizard at what she does. And
how'd she do that? Oh, wow.
She's a dope.
Okay, Tashana.
Yeah, just really, really, really talented. And I've just always been a fan of her work and what she's creating and what she's doing. She just blends in different textures really well. And it's such a nostalgic vibe as well with it, but it's just totally her. And it's what I think is so cool is that even though this is just like a totally different medium from her photography and styling work, it still all just matches. Like it's still,
I was gonna say, it still feels like the photography work you just showed.
Exactly. It just feels really connected and really dope. She's on Instagram. Her Instagram is Adelita. It's AUODLITA. Do we have time for me to like go to it?
No, go. Okay. Of course. Yeah, go ahead and head to her Instagram too. Because
so you guys can see.
Her art is absolutely phenomenal.
I'm not sure if it'll link us to it directly from here. If not, I'll just do a quick Google search. Had it up earlier, Adelita.
There you go.
Boom, boom. So yeah, this is her Instagram. Really dope. It's AUDOLITA, Adelita. And again, just like really diving into different stuff. Her Instagram stories are always fire. Like she's out in New York now. So you get that New York aspect of it. But you also see her behind the scenes and just doing creative things and see more into her process and everything. I just think, and she's such a stylist, just a stylist being of her own. Like every time I see her, she's just got a look. So I'm just like always excited to see her because I know she's just got some like dope vibe. Like look at this. Look at that. Look at the eyebrows.
She looks like she's that person that you want to be her friend. Like
Just
You can
so
feel her energy in her, like,
cool.
yeah, it's amazing.
So
And I
cool.
really, I really do love that. Oh, she shot Mario. Is that Mario I'm seeing
Mario, she's done
there? Okay.
all sorts of just like cool projects and just really dope R&B artist Ambra. I'm not sure if you've
Mm-hmm.
listened to her. She styled Ambra a lot for her shoots.
Wow.
Yeah, she's just always doing really cool things and always just like experimenting and just trying out new stuff. So it's just
Yeah.
you get this excitement of never just always feeling like you're going to be
No,
never
no,
knowing her next move
yeah.
in that sense, and you're just like, I'm just excited to see what you do next because
Yeah.
it's just always going to be something fun.
Yeah, her
So
style is actually very, I absolutely love it. And I love how, one, how unique it is, but how versatile it is. Like, it's not just one specific look. Like I don't know, each project looks so different, its style so different, but like, again, it's her voice. You can
mhm.
still feel her throughout each of these images. And then also, like you mentioned before, looking at the graphic design work, it's so interesting to see how her voice has translated into a completely different space, and it still feels very uniform between
Mhm.
photography and graphic design. So this is absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna be giving Tajana a follow after I get off of this live today, because this is like true inspiration and really, really beautiful art.
She's just so cool, and yeah, I was so when I was told that I get to spotlight someone, I instantly thought
Yes.
of her because I've
Yeah.
just been so like just amazed at what she's done and what she's been able to create with just like the graphic design aspect of
Yeah.
things, and a student of life. Like I love it.
Come on, a student
Same.
of life.
I feel that.
Come on,
So
Tajana.
yeah, really dope. Check her out, give her a follow.
Yes, yes, yes,
Tons
yes.
of
Check her
love.
out. Follow her on Instagram. Sam, thank you so much for dropping her website as well as her Instagram. This is really, really great work, Tajana. If you are here, congratulations for being our spotlight today. Really, really incredible work. And y'all just reach out to her, show her some love, because man, this is beautiful.
Yes.
All
Yes,
right.
yes, love it.
Perfect, perfect. So we can head back and finish up everything else that we got going on. And where are we at currently? I feel like you just added,
So
um,
just added the logo here. So
yes.
what I was doing is just adding in, just seeing what my options were with these different overlays.
Mm,
Actually really like what
I
that
really
one's
like that
doing.
one.
So let's just play with the opacity just a bit because I feel like it's a little strong. It's funny, I think this may have been the one ended up landing. No, I think yesterday it
You
was
did the
like the
first
far
one.
right. Okay, it was
I
like either
think
the far right
far
or
right or
it was
far
like the
left.
black
Yeah.
color. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like how that kind of laced everything in together. Cool. Yeah. So
Yes. See the light.
pretty much what we're looking at with this image. I know what we're looking at 1107. We'll just go into the next one and see what happens. So the next one is going to be, let's look at this product. So this next one is actually going to be highlighting some of the more so highlighting the features that come with the fact that the Game Boy SP had that flip feature on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea or the concept of it is called move
Mm-hmm.
and or essentially make it move. And essentially I tried to make it look kind of fashiony. So I took this kind of like oddly cropped image of myself here
Mm-hmm.
and we'll do a quick color on it. And actually what I'll do is this may work for
Random question for you,
Mhm.
Serrandon, real
Of
quickly.
course.
As I'm seeing more of these images and I'm seeing more of you in each of them and all this motion, posing, and everything you're doing, do you at all model for other people's projects, or is it just strictly for your own work?
Nobody's ever asked me to
For
model. I'll
real?
model. No, no one's ever asked. It's so funny. This is like I always feel like everyone, all villains, they have like their origin story. They have like the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the beginning of my origin story was, I remember when I was just a young lad in Dallas. And there was this really big like modeling agency that was just there. And I had some friends that were like modeling for them. And essentially I was like, Mom, can I go to a casting? And she's like, fine. So she took me there. It was like downtown. she's just sitting up there, like, I think she didn't even go in. She's like, I'm gonna just wait in the car. Like, just call in when you're ready. So I'm in the lobby and stuff, and they call me, and they were, you know, he's looking at like whatever, like random pictures I had, like off of like Facebook or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I cannot find my, you know what I'll do? Usually it'll pull me over to like this folder where I can just pull off from the settings I create, but I'm not seeing it. So should take this. What I'm gonna do, yeah, I was just gonna take this and build off of it. So I went to the casting with this like agent, and he's like, yeah, like I like, you know, I like your look, I like da da da. Mm-hmm. And he was just like, we need to measure you. So he, you know, put me up against the wall, measure me, and I was 5'11", and he was like, he's like, oh, you're 5'11". He's like, come, he's like, I really like you, you know, just come back when you're 6. And I was like, this had to have been like my sophomore, junior year of high school. Mm-hmm. And I was like, left the agency bummed. Yeah. And I was just like, but also like my family is like Amazons, like everyone is 6 feet. So it's just like, everyone is 6 feet. So I was like, okay, like, I literally told my mom, I was like, he said to come back when he grows an inch. And I think she laughed. So it's just like, she's like, so never grew that inch.
You never grew that inch?
Never grew an inch.
Dang, you still 5'11"?
I'm still 5'11". I mean, I guess I'm going to be 5'11" at this point forever. Because I was like, if it was going to happen, it probably would have been that last year or so in high school. Yeah. It's just so petty because I was like, let me put on any sneaker, I am 6 feet.
6 feet, exactly.
Any sneaker, I am 6 feet. You made me take out, I was so bad.
We're not gonna let you, I'm not gonna make
that
you
was always
that
my,
for too long.
That was my my villain origin story of like, and that's why he became like whatever villain on The Incredibles or something. Isn't that how The Incredibles villain did?
Yeah,
like,
I think so.
There's some like real like petty reason why he decided to be evil, and you're just like, okay.
But still, you were like there. Like, I don't know.
I was like, dude, I'm almost there. Like,
you could just put on a pair of like literally put on a pair of shoes. Like Sam said, come back in platform shoes, and you 6 feet. So.
And I would have been 6 feet. I should have worn lips if I knew about them. Like, he didn't have me take off my socks. Maybe I should have like put some like stuffing under my socks. I don't know what the people do. So essentially, this was supposed to be more of like a fashion-y, like sleek version of it. So what I'm doing is we're gonna get a crop. I don't want too much of my face in it, just about right there. I was really like trying to tap into like what they were doing in that like late 90s, early 2000s-esque thing. And what I'm going to do is I have, I end up doing like essentially stop motion. So I'm gonna grab these other images. So they're kind of the same image, except I just have them, I tried to keep the same pose, but essentially just, and actually while I'm doing this, let me save. Oh, it did save it next to it. I'm just gonna burn that same color into these. We're gonna mask these out and then just layer just that Game Boy part of it on the back pocket of the other one. So let's just do this, open. It doesn't matter, we're gonna crop that anyway. And then I will do this, load. Open, cool. And just because I want to get through the effect at least, I'm not gonna do like the coloring or like the skin touching stuff that I would normally do. I just wanna at least get us to see what that kind of like stop motion vibe will be. This is very up close and personal right now with my rear end, but we're going to, and it's funny, they actually did an ad. And the reason where I got this idea from was that they had a game, they had 2 of them, but one I'll not put Vernon to know, but one of them, they had it in the back pocket, this guy with like some black jeans, and he was like, and then the slogan was like, it's okay to look ladies or something like that. Because it was supposed to show that it's like pocket size. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. But I like the idea of it like having some movement as well. So essentially I tried to keep the same pose, tried to keep the same like form. And we're just going to go in that back pocket and overlay these to kind of give it that movement effect.
Okay.
And I'm also going kind of like what I said with the with yesterday's project. I really like everything having some type of connection to it. So I'm going to add some motion blur to myself and really just give it some purpose. So what I'm doing right now, I'm turning the opacity down just a little bit so I can really line up the Game Boy. That looks about right. And we'll end up masking it as well, but it's kind of easier to give it some placement. And this one's totally off. Boom. So first I'm going to I didn't realize I had him too. Okay. I was like, who am I missing? I forgot about him. Okay, yeah, so it's just 3. So what I'm first gonna do is key out my SP here. Could probably do a quick selection, but with these like side buttons, I just feel like it'd just be easier to give it some.
Use the pen tool and
just, ooh, I love this pen tool. Let's see here.
And did you shoot all this on the same day?
Yeah, I was tired. Yeah, I was just like, let me just, because I've been trying. I think I said it yesterday. Like I'll shoot things at home. Like you know, I don't have a huge place because I live in LA, so I live in a box. But I was like, when I picked this like studio apartment I'm in, I specifically wanted it to be like long because I wanted to be able, I wanted high ceilings and I wanted it to be long so I could roll out a backdrop.
Yeah.
Because I was like, if I just want to do like a quick shoot, or you know, if I'm low on funds or something, I can't afford like a studio, like let's just shoot it here and create some content here. And it's funny. I'll be so glad when I move, but it'll also be kind of like, dang, I've shot a lot of people in here too. Like I'll have like, like especially people who I like shoot quite often and like we're just very familiar with ourselves, or I'm just trying to do some like experimental, like I'm like, hey, I don't even know if this is going to come out because I don't know if this is going to work, but let's just see. And they'll just come through. So I'm like, I've had so many people just be at my apartment any day. Like we're having full on photo shoots in here because, you know, it works and it's never like a big crowd. But actually, speaking of that, my film, The Bride, the first one that we did, we shot half of it at the beach and the other half was like in my apartment. So yeah, in front of a backdrop. So and actually some of the shots from the recent full-fledged one that I did, we kind of just did some pickup shots in my place because it was just seamless backdrop type situation. And I was like, okay, like, let's just save that money. So we got the first one cut. And again, I'm going to line it and do some masking over it. But I was like, let's just get this one done.
Get the cuts straight away. Yeah, honestly, if you have the space, being able to have the flexibility to shoot at home is nice, just because, you know, you can just invite people over, get your content, and it's just a matter of having the space.
Having the space, but also tying into what we talked about earlier with, you know, if you don't have the latest and greatest camera, like you don't need to have like all of this great stuff or all of the newest stuff to be able to execute your dream or execute what you're trying to do.
Not at
like
all.
The best thing you can do is work with what you have. If all you have is an iPhone right now, then iPhones are great. They're the world's most popular cameras.
Yeah,
so
they are phenomenal. Yeah.
So create what you can with that and just know, and I would say it may not be the full quality that you really know that you want to produce yet, but that's also excitement because it's like, that just means you have a lot of room to grow. And if you're able to make really great images and really just engaging content with what you have, like just imagine how much more people are going to enjoy and how much more you're going to enjoy it
Yeah.
as you just grow and slowly build and get like these different resources that you want. So
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near where I want to be just as a creative or just with the things that I have, but like it's better to do it this way than to just not do it at all.
Yeah, no, I 1000% agree. You know, you just have to start somewhere. And sometimes like, I don't know, I've shot a whole bunch of projects just in my bedroom. Even before I moved to where I live now, I was living in my parents' house and all I had was my room. And I had this project that I rolled out or now 2 years ago, a self-portrait project that I shot everything just
I
in my
love your
bedroom.
self-portraits, by the
Oh,
way.
thank you. I shot
Yeah.
everything in my room, right in front of a window, on the floor in front of my bed. Like
Wow.
you just have to make do with what you have. And that shouldn't limit your creativity,
It shouldn't
you
limit
know?
your creativity, and
Mhm.
it may also help it, to be honest.
It makes it
You
feel
will think of
light.
the yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes you think of the best stuff when you don't
Hmm.
have all the options that you think you
Hmm.
should have. If you have a limited budget, like the best creativity comes out. I think there's actually a saying about it. I just don't know what it's called. But
Hmm.
sometimes the best ideas come out of like restriction.
No,
And
absolutely.
and it's just again, it's just a story to tell. It's like, yeah, I just shot this at the crib
Yep.
and made it happen.
Yeah,
So
just make it happen, make it your own. You know, you just feel, I don't know, to me, I am not a technical photographer. I like things to be as simple as possible.
mhm.
And so I used to be, I shoot in studios now, but I used to be afraid of them because I just felt like there's just so much technicality in
Mhm.
that space. And, obviously there was some growing that I needed to do there, but you just really realize that like, make do with what you have. If you have all the equipment, great. If you don't, it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right. And it's just, again, it's just part of the process, it's part
Yeah.
of the journey. But yeah, make most of what you have and use that as just like a vessel of the idea. Like don't like embrace the fact that you don't have those things yet
Hmm.
and make something cool out of it.
Yep.
So
Because when you do have them, you're like, oh wow, like you already were creating dope art, but imagine what you can create then. It's just like you said, it's exciting. It's an ongoing journey.
exactly. So
Oh,
I
so we've got the
just
three layers, the
so we got the
three.
3 layers. I'm just going to feather this a little bit.
Okay, and we have a couple of minutes left, so we'll be wrapping up
Cool.
soon. Thank you, Sam, for dropping Serrandon's Instagram and website. So y'all make sure you give him a follow and look out for some great work. And Serrandon, thank you so much for joining us these
Thank you
past
for
two
having me.
days.
And y'all, these images, I'm going to, I was waiting for this to be finished or for us to have the session, but I'm going to post
Mhm.
the final images. So even
Good.
what I don't finish here, I'll post them and be like, all right, y'all, like I got them done. But
All right,
so I will
good.
post these so you can check them out on my page
Perfect.
and everything and see it in its full glory. But no, this has been such a fun experience. And I'm just really grateful that I was able to be here and hang out with y'all and have some cool conversations and
Yeah.
great questions. So it's been really dope.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I think that this was the kind of creativity you have is absolutely mind blowing. Like,
Oh, I
just
appreciate it.
no, absolutely. Your work is phenomenal. And I think I don't know, I really appreciate being able to see different artists and how their brains work and the creativity. And like, I've never seen anyone do what you've done, especially creating these creative ads. And I never would have, it's not an area of work that I would have thought to look into, to see
Mm.
what kind of work people do. And so this is just beautiful. So Nintendo, again, like I said yesterday, if
Hit your
you're
boy
watching,
up, like
hit your boy up,
y'all.
fly him out to Japan, whatever you got to do. He's
Take me
here.
to Japan. I would love. I just want to go back to Japan next year, though. So just say. I mean, y'all may have an American office, but I'll still pick.
Mm.
I'll still pick Japan. I just want to go.
That's all.
So
That's all.
yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So as we start to wrap up, just a few things for y'all. We're going to continue with the logo theme. So you want to make sure that you stick around for a creative encore of the Illustrated Creative Challenges, where you'll be able to learn how to create and use logos in the app. And that's going to be immediately following and then also immediately following the Illustrative Creative Challenge. Join Sarah Laninga at 12 p.m. Pacific time so that you can learn how to create branding and packaging for your business. And then final announcement, Adobe Live will not be airing masterclasses tomorrow due to a global day off at the Adobe offices. So
good for y'all.
Good for y'all, girl.
Take your day off.
Yes.
Get some rest.
Get some rest, because we all need it. We all need it. Awesome. So make sure y'all head over to Serrandon's Instagram later on today, or I don't know. I'm not gonna say whenever the timeline is.
Yeah, I'm gonna have them out later on today. So
all right, bet. So make sure y'all head over to his Instagram so that way you can look at the final images. But Serrandon, thank you so much for your time. And
thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. And I think that's it. I think we're ready to sign off. Awesome. Y'all have a great day.
See y'all later.
There.